12 hours from home, the long-range patrol aircraft of the Royal Netherlands Navy makes a final sweep along NATO's northern flank in Europe. 3,000 miles of beaches in Norway and Denmark, the seaward edge to some of the most thinly defended land in the alliance. Off these shores for 2 weeks, navies of 9 NATO nations have been exercising together. 80,000 men and women, 900 aircraft, 275 ships and submarines, including units bringing thousands of Marines from the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, and the United States, when they stormed ashore in central Norway to demonstrate military backup to an ally. Two days later, the traces of this amphibious force are almost gone. A unit damaged on landing, troops cleaning up a shoreline, returning to its usual state of peace. And after days of 50-knot winds and 15-foot seas, the crews of this great Allied fleet are already on shore leave, guests of an ancient city built on 1,000 years of seafaring, Amsterdam.
Leuk geweest ook. Zwitserland, Austria. Good. It's good. You're on the off-road now, aren't you? That was quite a good run over there.
You know, we're like that.
Well,
I was really tremendous.
It's beautiful. I skied in British Columbia.
Oh, really?
Range of rocky.
Tremendous time.
Ja. Waar ben je heen?
Nee, dansen, Chinezen of zo. Ja, George.
Yes. John.
That we considered the initial disposition of units and ships.
Is StarTex still scheduled for...
On StarTex, as the first day of an exercise is called, the Supreme Allied Commander Atlantic moved into his strategic direction center with all forces mobilized, grouped, and ready. The planners knew that the exercise would end 14 days later and 5,000 miles away, when Allied landing forces would link up with the Norwegian troops they had come to reinforce.
And that, of course, in turn depends on...
And as these Allied Chief Channel shares with Falklands the job of keeping open the sea lanes between Europe and North America and the supply and reinforcement of Sakur. From Norfolk, Virginia, Falkland had ordered his strike fleet to sea.
When JFK puts to sea on day -7, where will Thunder Falkland be then?
Well, present plans show them concentrating off Portland.
On the eastern side of this same Atlantic Command, Falkland holds ready a group of destroyer-type ships, known as the Standing Naval Force Atlantic, Stanav Forland. This force from 8 member countries is the first permanent multinational naval squadron in history. Back on shore, reserve units are called in to join the team. A school teacher when not on duty, Helen McLean is part of an all-reservist unit, the Naval Control of Shipping, a complex system of management exercised over millions of square miles of ocean. And if the Alliance was ever attacked, the only way to give merchant shipping the convoy protection it would need.
Captain Toft and Lieutenant Buchanan, Naval Liaison Officer. Thank you very much. You have no radio officer, Captain? No. Viking Victory, Captain Moller.
Ships specially chartered from several nations gather in an English Channel port. Their skippers and radio operators, integrated with escort officers, will become a single compact and disciplined team, ready and able to obey orders given by the convoy commander in response to threats that may develop.
To check again, all radars are in good working order. Radar?
Yeah, no sailing orders.
On the other side of the Atlantic, a second fast convoy has been formed, and in Halifax, an officer of the Canadian Armed Forces prepares to lead them to Weymouth, England, through mock attacks from ships, aircraft, and above all, submarines.
That the threat to our passage is initially from submarine attack in the western Atlantic, with attack from
long-range maritime patrol aircraft, American, Canadian, German, Dutch, Norwegian, or here, British, play a major part in this essentially defined. The multinational NATO squadron will be responsible for its safe escort during the last half of the week-long Atlantic run. The convoys are now well underway, and attention turns to the US-UK Carrier Strike Force, meeting up in Scottish waters to support and to shield the amphibious fleet grouping in Scapa Flow.
Can we move on to the assembly of the forces at Scapa Flow?
Yes, the U.S. element will assemble there 14 ships at plus 5. That means that they're all...
When could we expect strike fleet to be prepared on Plan 203, please?
So we're expecting strike fleet and the amphibians to be ready about...
Under Sackland's command, the entire force makes ready. Marines on their troop transport.
Well, I think Commander Naval Forces Baltic Approaches would provide barrier submarines in an observation role.
30 Meter Hohlstein.
Units of the Federal German Republic are in position to ward off any threat.
Landungsverband 276.
A group of their landing craft playing the enemy is spotted by a submarine in observation, and the alarm is given.
Kommando absetzen.
Besatzung.
Alarm!
The US-UK Carrier Strike Fleet prepares to support amphibious landings on the Norwegian coast. On board Kennedy, there are 10 briefing rooms for the pilots of more than 90 aircraft. Like 30-ton bombs, a headquarters ship like the USS Mount Whitney coordinates a wide range of inter-service activity, Air Force, Navy, Army, and Marines, to launch the... unit, that shows him the availability of all ships, aircraft, and troops. Dispersing a force of this size, built up from so many national components, is a complicated operation in its own right. Falklands signs the index, end of exercise signal, that will release thousands of service men and women back to dozens of different bases and routines in their own countries.
Ja, dankeschön. Ja, die Übung ist beendet. Hallo von Kommandant. Die Übung Teamwork 76 ist beendet. Letzte sehen mit der Navigation.
Like many NATO ships, the German destroyer Karlsruhe is invited to Amsterdam. At IJmuiden, entrance to the port of Amsterdam, teamwork units slip in one behind the next. Ships headed to moorings in the heart of the city, their crews to a night out on the town. And for these men and women from 9 nations who for 2 weeks have worked together in this unique international venture, teamwork ends with a last look at Allied ships lit overall in the harbor of Amsterdam. Evidence of NATO's will to continue keeping the peace by an adequate system of joint defense.